This might shock you, but your children may no longer respect you. Many seniors unknowingly make mistakes that create distance between them and their loved ones. They don't realize that certain words, behaviors, or habits, repeated over time, can slowly damage relationships. Have you noticed that your children or grandchildren call less often, visit less frequently, or seem emotionally distant? It may not just be because they're busy. There are specific reasons why your family might be pulling away, and the sooner you recognize them, the sooner you can start repairing those relationships. In this video, we'll reveal 7 key behaviors that may be causing your family to lose respect for you, along with practical ways to fix them before it's too late. Don't let small mistakes ruin your most important relationships. Watch until the end to learn how simple changes can bring back warmth, respect, and deeper connections with your loved ones. One of the fastest ways to lose respect from your family is by constantly complaining. While it's natural to share frustrations or vent about life's challenges, when negativity becomes the main theme of your conversations, it can push people away. Over time, even the most patient family members may start avoiding calls, shortening visits, or making excuses not to spend time together. At first, your children and grandchildren may listen sympathetically, offer advice, or try to cheer you up. But if every conversation turns into a list of complaints about your health, the government, the younger generation, or how things were better in the past, it can make interactions feel draining rather than enjoyable. No one wants to be around someone who constantly focuses on what's wrong instead of what's right. Negativity doesn't just affect your relationships, it also affects your health. Studies show that chronic complaining increases stress, raises blood pressure, and weakens the immune system. The more you focus on problems, the harder it becomes to feel joy in everyday life. Over time, this can lead to depression, anxiety, and even cognitive decline. So how can you change this pattern and rebuild respect in your relationships? The first step is self-awareness. Start paying attention to how often you complain. Are your conversations mostly about frustrations, disappointments, or things you don't like? If so, try shifting the balance. Instead of focusing on what's wrong, bring up things that make you happy. Express gratitude for what you do have, or ask your family about their lives. When you focus on positive conversations, you become someone they want to be around, not someone they feel obligated to check on. Another key habit is practicing gratitude. Even in difficult times, there are always things to be thankful for. Every morning, try to think of 3 things that make you feel grateful, whether it's your family, a good meal, or simply another day to enjoy life. The more you focus on the good, the more uplifting your presence will become. Finally, be an active listener. Instead of always steering conversations toward your own experiences or problems, ask your children and grandchildren about their lives. Show genuine interest in what they're doing, celebrate their successes, and listen without judgment. People love spending time with those who make them feel heard and valued. Negativity is contagious, but so is positivity. When you bring warmth, humor, and encouragement into your interactions, your family will naturally be drawn to you, rather than avoiding you. Do you think negativity affects relationships? Let's discuss in the comments. One of the most common reasons why children and grandchildren lose respect for their parents or grandparents is constant criticism of their life choices. While you may think you're offering helpful advice, they might see it as judgment, disapproval, or a lack of trust in their ability to make their own decisions. Over time, this can create emotional distance, leading them to avoid conversations, visits, and deep discussions about their lives. Many seniors don't even realize when they're being overly critical. It often starts with small comments about their parenting, their career choices, their spending habits, or even the way they dress. Saying things like, "I wouldn't have done it that way," or "back in my day, we did things differently," may seem harmless to you, but to them, it feels like you don't respect their choices or trust their judgment. Even when your intentions come from a place of love, unwanted advice can feel like control. Your children and grandchildren want to feel like they are capable adults who have earned your trust and respect. If every conversation turns into a lesson about what they're doing wrong, they may start limiting contact to avoid the stress. So how can you express your thoughts without damaging relationships or making them feel judged? The key is choosing your words carefully. Instead of saying, "You're raising your kids all wrong," try saying, "I love seeing how much you care about your children. If you ever want advice, I'm always here to share my experiences." This gives them the space to ask for help if they need it, rather than feeling forced to defend themselves. Another powerful way to keep respect in your relationships is to focus on encouragement rather than correction. Instead of pointing out their mistakes, acknowledge their efforts and successes. Even if you don't agree with everything they do, showing support strengthens your connection and keeps the conversation open. Finally, accept that times have changed. The world your children and grandchildren live in is different from the one you grew up in. The best way to stay close to them is to be open-minded, listen without judgment, and respect their right to live life in their own way. People naturally gravitate toward those who make them feel supported, appreciated, and valued. When you replace criticism with understanding and encouragement, you'll find that your relationships become stronger, more respectful, and more enjoyable for everyone. If you're enjoying this video and want more insights on how to strengthen relationships, don't forget to like this video and hit the subscribe button. It really helps support the channel, and you'll never miss our future tips on maintaining deep, meaningful connections with your loved ones. One of the quickest ways to make your children and grandchildren feel distant is by not respecting their boundaries. While you may see it as caring, being involved, or looking out for them, they may perceive it as intrusive, overwhelming, or controlling. When people feel like their personal space, physical, emotional, or decision-making space, is not respected, they begin to withdraw. Many seniors don't even realize when they're crossing boundaries. It might be showing up unannounced, pushing for more frequent visits, making comments about their parenting or lifestyle, or expecting them to always be available. Even seemingly small things, like giving advice they didn't ask for, questioning their choices, or insisting on a certain way of doing things, can make them feel like they don't have full independence. If your children and grandchildren start giving vague excuses for not visiting, limiting conversations, or avoiding deeper discussions about their personal lives, it may be because they feel like they can't set boundaries without upsetting you. Instead of feeling free to engage with you on their own terms, they start pulling away to protect their space. So how can you respect their boundaries while still maintaining a close, loving relationship? The first step is recognizing that your children and grandchildren are adults with their own lives, families, and responsibilities. They love you, but they also need autonomy. Accept that they don't owe you unlimited time and attention, and that giving them space actually strengthens relationships rather than weakening them. Second, ask rather than assume. If you want to visit or have a conversation, instead of saying, "I'm coming over tomorrow," try saying, "Would it be okay if I stopped by sometime this week?" If they say they're busy, respect that without guilt-tripping or making them feel bad about it. Third, let go of unrealistic expectations. Instead of expecting them to visit or call at a certain frequency, focus on making the time you do spend together enjoyable and stress-free. When every interaction feels positive and pressure-free, they'll naturally want to be around you more. If you've already crossed boundaries in the past, a simple acknowledgement can go a long way. Saying something like, "I realize I may have been too involved in your decisions, and I want to be more respectful of your space," can open the door for stronger, healthier communication. The truth is, respecting your family's boundaries doesn't push them away. It actually makes them feel more comfortable and secure in the relationship. The more they feel like they can be themselves around you without pressure or criticism, the more they'll want to stay close. Do you think respecting boundaries is key to strong relationships? Let's discuss in the comments. One of the fastest ways to make your family lose interest in conversations with you is by always making everything about yourself. While sharing your experiences, thoughts, and emotions is natural, if every discussion revolves around your problems, frustrations, or opinions, your children and grandchildren may start tuning out or even avoiding conversations altogether. At first, they may listen out of respect, offer support, or try to engage. But over time, if they feel like their voices aren't heard, they may stop making the effort. No one wants to feel like they're just an audience rather than an equal part of a conversation. How does this affect relationships? When conversations become one-sided, family members may feel emotionally drained rather than uplifted. They may avoid calling because they already know how the conversation will go. It will be all about your health issues, your frustrations, or your past experiences, leaving little room for them to share about their own lives. This can create emotional distance and a loss of connection. So how can you improve your communication and make your family want to engage in conversations with you? First, practice active listening. Instead of waiting for your turn to speak, really focus on what your children and grandchildren are saying. Show that you're engaged by asking follow-up questions like, "That sounds exciting. How did that go?" Or "Tell me more about that." When you show genuine interest in their lives, they'll naturally want to talk to you more often. Second, balance the conversation. If you realize you've been talking about yourself for a while, pause and shift the focus back to them. A simple way to do this is by saying, "But enough about me, what's new with you?" Or, "I've talked a lot. What's been going on in your world?" These small shifts make a huge difference in making others feel valued. Third, be mindful of how you share your experiences. Instead of always turning conversations back to your past or your own struggles, find ways to connect their stories to encouragement and support. If they talk about a challenge, instead of saying, "Oh, that's nothing. When I was your age," try saying, "I can understand why that's difficult. I admire how you're handling it." This validates their experiences rather than dismissing them. Finally, make conversations enjoyable and pressure-free. Your children and grandchildren will naturally want to talk to you if they associate conversations with warmth, positivity, and genuine connection, rather than lectures, complaints, or competition for attention. The best relationships are built on mutual respect, active listening, and shared experiences. When you shift from talking at your family to truly engaging with them, you'll notice a stronger bond, more frequent conversations, and deeper emotional connections. If you're enjoying this video and want more insights on how to strengthen relationships, don't forget to like this video and hit the subscribe button. It really helps support the channel, and you'll never miss our future tips on staying emotionally connected with your loved ones. Holding on to grudges is one of the fastest ways to push your family away and damage relationships beyond repair. While past conflicts, misunderstandings, or disappointments are a natural part of life, constantly bringing them up or refusing to let go of resentment can create emotional distance between you and your children. If your children or grandchildren feel like every visit or phone call turns into a reminder of old mistakes, past arguments, or things they should have done differently, they may start limiting their contact to avoid the tension. Instead of feeling comfortable and welcome, they'll feel judged, guilty, or emotionally exhausted, leading them to pull away. Many parents don't even realize how often they bring up past conflicts. It might be in the form of subtle comments like, "I always supported you, but you never appreciated it," or "If only you had listened to me back then." While these words may come from a place of frustration or hurt, to your children, they feel like an emotional burden that never fades. So how can you move from resentment to reconciliation and rebuild respect in your relationships? The first step is choosing forgiveness, for yourself and for them. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting what happened or pretending things were perfect. It means letting go of the anger, disappointment, or regret so that it no longer controls your interactions. Ask yourself, is holding on to this worth losing my relationship with my family? Most of the time, the answer is no. Next, focus on the present, not the past. Instead of dwelling on who was right or wrong years ago, shift the conversation toward building new, positive memories. Rather than saying, "I wish you had been there for me more," try saying, "I'm happy we get to spend time together now." This small change in mindset replaces tension with appreciation, making your family feel valued instead of criticized. If a conflict still feels unresolved, open the door for honest communication. A simple, "I don't want the past to come between us. Let's focus on moving forward," can make a huge difference in showing your children that you prioritize the relationship over the conflict. Lastly, avoid keeping score. Relationships are not about who did more, who was right, or who hurt whom more. Holding on to grudges only builds walls where there should be bridges. The more you focus on understanding, patience, and shared love, the more respect and closeness you will regain. People naturally gravitate toward those who make them feel accepted, loved, and appreciated. When you choose forgiveness over resentment and connection over conflict, you'll notice a stronger, more respectful bond with your family. If you're enjoying this video and want more insights on strengthening relationships, don't forget to like this video and hit the subscribe button. It really helps support the channel, and you'll never miss our future tips on maintaining deep, meaningful connections with your loved ones. One of the most common reasons why children and grandchildren start pulling away is feeling overwhelmed by expectations. While it's natural to want attention, support, and involvement from your family, placing too many demands on them can create stress, resentment, and emotional exhaustion. Many seniors unintentionally make their children feel like they can never do enough. Whether it's expecting frequent visits, daily phone calls, financial help, or constant emotional support, too much pressure can make your family feel trapped rather than connected. Instead of wanting to spend time with you, they may start avoiding interactions simply to escape the weight of expectations. Even well-meaning comments like, "You never visit as much as you should," or "If you really cared, you'd call me more often," can make your children and grandchildren feel guilty rather than welcomed. Over time, these feelings of guilt can turn into avoidance, as they start associating interactions with pressure rather than joy. So how can you maintain strong family bonds without overwhelming your loved ones? First, replace expectations with appreciation. Instead of focusing on what they don't do, acknowledge what they do. If they visit, call, or help in any way, express gratitude instead of pointing out how long it's been since the last time. Saying, "I really enjoyed seeing you today," rather than, "Why don't you visit more often?" makes a huge difference in how they feel about being around you. Second, respect their time and independence. Your children and grandchildren have their own families, careers, and personal struggles. If they say they're busy, trust that they are. And don't take it personally. Let them know you appreciate whatever time they can give, without making them feel guilty. Another important step is finding ways to stay independent. While it's wonderful to rely on family for emotional support, having hobbies, friendships, and social connections outside of them can help ease the pressure on your children and grandchildren. The more fulfilled and engaged you are in your own life, the less they will feel like they are solely responsible for your happiness. Finally, make your presence one they look forward to. If every conversation is about what they aren't doing enough of, they'll start avoiding contact. But if interactions are positive, warm, and pressure-free, they'll naturally want to spend more time with you. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, love, and balance, not obligation and guilt. The less pressure your family feels, the more they'll want to be around you, not because they have to, but because they truly enjoy your company. How do you maintain balance in family relationships? Let's talk in the comments. If you've recognized yourself in some of the mistakes we've discussed, don't worry. It's not too late to rebuild respect and strengthen your bond with your family. Relationships can be repaired, but it requires self-awareness, patience, and a willingness to change. We've explored 7 key behaviors that may have caused your children or grandchildren to lose respect for you. Constant complaining that makes interactions feel emotionally draining. Criticizing their life choices, which can make them feel judged rather than supported. Not respecting their boundaries, leading them to withdraw to protect their space. Making every conversation about yourself, making them feel unheard and unimportant. Holding on to past grudges, creating unnecessary emotional tension. Placing too many expectations on them, making relationships feel like an obligation rather than a choice. These behaviors, even if done unintentionally, can cause resentment, frustration, and distance. But the good news is, small, conscious changes can transform your relationships. The first step is self-reflection. Ask yourself, do I make my family feel valued, supported, and respected? Do I listen as much as I talk? Do I appreciate them, or do I focus on what they aren't doing? The more you understand your role in the relationship dynamic, the easier it will be to make adjustments. Next, shift how you communicate. Instead of focusing on what's missing, express gratitude for what you have. Instead of correcting, support. Instead of expecting, appreciate. When your children and grandchildren feel safe, respected, and uplifted in your presence, they will naturally want to be around you more. Let go of the past and focus on the present. Holding on to old arguments or disappointments only creates walls, not bridges. Choosing forgiveness, patience, and understanding can heal years of tension and make space for new, positive experiences. Most importantly, make your presence a source of joy rather than stress. When your family knows that time with you is filled with warmth, kindness, and meaningful conversations, they will look forward to visits and phone calls, not feel obligated to them. Respect isn't something you demand. It's something you earn through how you treat people. When you choose to listen more, judge less, encourage rather than criticize, and create space for connection without pressure, you'll notice a powerful shift in how your family sees and interacts with you. Your relationships aren't set in stone. They are built and rebuilt every day through your words, actions, and the way you show love. Choose to be the person your family wants to respect, and you'll see that respect naturally return.